Good afternoon, Outlands. Thank you so much for your patience while we sorted out some technical difficulties. As most of the kingdom's experiencing some snow and crazy weather today, we really appreciate your patience. So today my special guest is Duchess Cainnleach. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks
Good.
for inviting me today.
I'm so glad to have you. Today's show, we're going to mix up a little bit. We're going to run through some questions with Her Grace. And then Her Grace is going to ask me some questions. So it's going to be a little bit different show today. But hopefully everybody will still enjoy it. So let's dive right in. So how long ago were you queen for the first time?
Oddly enough, this November, it'll be 20 years. So seems like yesterday, but very, very long ago. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So my first reign was November 2001 to May 2002.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you were an Estrella queen, you were a feasting queen, you were a winter queen. Very similar to my experience. So who were your champions and how did you decided and how did that all work? Because I know that the tournaments kind of sometimes they're decided by tournament, sometimes they're picked, sometimes that's an evolutionary process. So tell us about that.
So once we were coronated, the following Sunday, we held our Queen's Champion tournament, or our Protector. The Queen's Champion tournament actually usually happened that day. So my Queen's Champion in my first reign was Sir Michael McBain. Boy, I mean, he was one of the most wonderful supports for a brand new queen that you could ever imagine. And then my Protector was, I want to say Don Ian of Knightsgate, but of course he is a master now. And he was my Protector for the rapier community.
Very cool.
Yeah. I could not ask for better companions through that reign, especially at Estrella.
Yeah. Those champions, I mean, people don't realize how much you lean on them, right? As queen,
right.
They're like your best friends and your best confidence, and you know they're the ones that are boosting you up when you're feeling down, and they're the ones kind of giving you that pat on the back to make you feel great. So
make you feel great, and anytime they needed to, they rallied the troops, and they were always there. Both the heavy community and the rapier community. I couldn't have asked for a better leader on either side.
That's awesome. So what were some of your most memorable moments with your champions?
My first reign would be all of the rapier community convincing me to train, authorize, and enter the field with them at Estrella, which was super scary.
Yeah.
Don Triffin, he was very difficult. He made me work hard, didn't make a pass on me. And of course, the Queen of Adenveld was the Mistress of Defense, Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so she was going on the field, obviously. I think she was a Danya already, possibly. But there was no way they were going to not train me up and take me out on that field and protect me with everything they had.
Right.
So amazing. Yeah, that was probably one of the best experiences ever. Both Don Triffin and Master Ian taking me out there and saying, don't worry about it. We'll keep you alive. I did die. That was very upsetting to everyone.
Yeah.
But boy, what a memorable experience with Ian, who was amazing and very dead serious. You just didn't kill his queen at all costs.
Don Triffin's a great teacher.
He was. I have so many great memories about both of those gentlemen. Don Triffin, actually, then 3 years later, when we became crown again, he actually was my champion then. So
that's awesome.
Wonderful memories with them.
That is so cool.
Yep.
Very cool. So you were a war queen. Were you a peer before you were a queen the first or the second time?
No, I actually was the landed Baroness of Dragonspine for 4 years. Okay. So it went from being a Baroness from like 98 to 2002, 2001. And then I became the head of household for Conan and Eleanor, and then I became their princess. So you just get really busy, and stay active is one way to do it. And then I took a break for a couple years, and then of course my husband fought for me and won. And so then after that, it was time to kind of do some of the things that I'd probably put on hold because I enjoyed working with the Baronian Kingdom. Sometimes they joke, but it's nice just to go off in the corner and sit in the dark and create art.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that one moment that the first time you reigned and you were like, wow, I feel like the Queen of the Outlands? Not just I am the Queen of the Outlands, but man, something happened or some experience that you're like, whoa, I really feel like a queen.
So having the experience of being a Baroness and understanding how we play meant so much to me. But once you become queen, there are two things there's so many things, but the two that really stick out probably, I felt like a queen. Probably the first time I walked into a knight's circle.
Oh, yeah.
That you walk in and you realize that they are standing up to their queen, and the reverence they give you is profound. It defines what a knight is to me in a lot of ways. I know there are virtues, and I know they all strive, but boy, they treat you like a queen. Now, the other thing that probably, I don't know, the other moment would be the rapier community. They are so special to all queens. And it just seems like the earth stops and the world stops spinning when you walk into a tourney field or a gathering. The respect they give queens is amazing.
Truly the Queen's Order.
Yes. I mean, you feel like they're throwing petals down as you walk up.
That's right.
It makes you feel so special. Yeah. Those are probably two of my more memorable or profound moments. Is all of the people that support the crown and set examples for the romance of the medieval times, not the plague times, but the dark ages, but the beauty of it. Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you love best about your role as a Lady of the Rose? So I've talked before about like what a special group of people that is, and why I admire them so much. So what do you love most about being a Lady of the Rose?
Every time I go out, it would probably be that day, but all of those people that you worked with, all of those times that you had opportunities to make things happen, most of those people never forget. And so you maintain all those connections because you're still active, you're still trying to help out in any way you can. But probably one of the most important things as a Lady of the Rose to me is how exciting it is when we accept a new Lady of the Rose after we've watched her for 6 months, work, and invite her into our order, and then looking forward to the new queen and giving her as much support as we should. Yeah.
I love the Ladies of the Rose. What's your favorite piece of regalia? So this is kind of a loaded question because this is the Cainnleach crown, right?
Yes, it is. Master. Yeah, that's a toughie. Master Reese. During our second reign with Giovanni came and said we had asked for possibly commissioning some so that we could move away from the traditionals and protect them and care for them and make them more of a ceremonial item. You know, through the years, while I was chatelaine between reigns, I actually had them sent out and re-blackened and some touch-up work on them. And we really felt that they were so ancient and honorable that they should be protected more. So, yeah, Master Reese came to us. He drew up designs. We ended up with 2 amazing sets of crowns. So I am a little proud of the fact I got to wear them first.
and they call them the Cainnleach crowns. When His Majesty was like, these are the ones we want, someone said, oh, you want the Cainnleach crowns?
Aww.
Like, oh, okay. I'll have to ask her about that.
And besides, they make us look taller.
Yeah. Well, that's when he was like, I want the tall ones. I was like, yeah, tall ones. I'm all about the tall ones. I think it's going to help me feel a little taller.
They make us look very tall.
Right.
It was so special to be able to work with Master Reese. And so, yes, that was a good guess. It was probably my favorite piece of regalia. Although I do have another piece of regalia that's very special to me.
Yeah.
Second reign, Duke Lycurgus actually fought and won as my champion. And unfortunately, he was called away with the Air Force to serve overseas during our reign. And that's when Sir Michelangelo, I knew him as Sir Bjorky, fought in a replacement tourney. And the day that we passed on that responsibility from Duke Lycurgus to Sir Michelangelo in court, His Grace brought out an axe and handed it to Michelangelo and named it Sunshine in my honor, which is my device. So I guess the Queen's axe is pretty special.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
What's your favorite tradition in the Outlands?
Well, of course, we all like the dirt. That has feeling. I mean, there's just feeling when the king and queen step out on the field for that. But 2 other traditions I like. I love the scaldings.
Yeah.
And I know that's because I'm a royal peer. And I know that it's like, oh, I can't wait for him to sing my name. But it's also a reminder of everyone we are, each reign, how we got here. So I do enjoy the scaldings. I really do. And can I say one more thing I like about our traditions?
Yeah, of course.
I like that when it is time to crown our new king, from the hands of the king stepping down, that we all remove our coronets for that moment of silence because we have no king ourselves. So if you were a landed baroness, you would not have a queen. You wouldn't king or queen. You wouldn't even be a landed until the crown went on the head of the new king. Yeah. So I like that part. It's moving to me.
Yeah, it's neat. It's a really special moment during coronation to see everybody, take off their coronet and kind of hold it. And then once the new one, then, to put it back on. That is very cool.
It feels like a moment of silence so we can all reflect on what's happening.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Yeah.
So when you were queen, were there issues that you were like, I want to get in there and dig deep into this issue and, not fix things, but like, what can I do to improve the situation? What can I do to impact the situation? Was there anything like that during your reign that you were like, man, this is really important to me and I want to make some changes?
We had a fairly easy reign. We had a few hiccups, nothing major that we couldn't all just say, oh, we have to move on and make things better. But no real, 20 years ago, the kingdom, as we grow, as life changes and evolves, things get, I think, a little more complicated. And so I was probably spoiled that it was a pretty smooth reign. The one thing that I felt was important to us as a reign, and especially with me because I came from a very small shire, I felt that it was important that we travel to outreaches of our kingdom and not forget folks that probably couldn't travel every weekend because they weren't really centrally located.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made a point of always making sure, and I think that was one of the more important things that we did during our reign. We traveled a lot, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite gift that you received during one of your reigns?
Ooh, that's tough. Okay, so I like boxes. And we have some amazing woodworkers. And so I have one handmade box. It's inlaid with the stag and the embattlement around it. And that was gifted to me. It, through the years, has dried out. I've already had to have it refurbished once by someone professionally. Little pieces popped out. They had to be re-oiled, but I'm sure there's not one piece.
Yeah.
There's not.
No.
There's so many beautiful things that you hang on to.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to share with the Outlands about your time as queen?
Gosh. Having the opportunity to be a queen 20 years ago and still be able to support and understand everything I can give out in return for what they did for me during this year, that's meant a lot. It really has. So the one thing I took away was they really do know how to treat you like a queen. And what an opportunity and great memories. And it's been a long time, but I still remember some of it. It was great. So thank you for asking today, all your questions, and letting me be part of your tea.
Yeah. I'm going to step away for 1 second. My new puppy just opened my door, and it's very loud. So hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, in or out? Crazy boy. You're my crazy boy. Are you so crazy? Come here. Oh! It's my crazy boy. He's not going to be nice like my other ones and just sit down. He's going to be crazy. Sit down, crazy.
I wish we weren't having a pandemic. I so want to meet him.
Right? He's so crazy. He was so peaceful earlier, and I was like, is it possible that he's just going to lay on my lap during my interview? And I was like, no, he's absolutely not going to. But that's really wishful thinking.
Puppies get to have puppy zoomies. It's great.
All right.
So, Your Majesty.
Yes.
It's been such an honor to go through all of your memories with us. We appreciate you doing this. What a special time to put some neat ideas out there and share with your populace. But one of the things I was sitting reminiscing was, we haven't asked you anything or how you're doing with your reign. And currently, because we are social distancing, what a great time to take a few minutes and ask you some questions. I know I wanted to know things, and Do you mind if I ask you some questions today?
No, not at all.
Great. It's just so nice, but to be here, but at the same time, I think you should be asked some tough questions like, so how long have you been queen?
So we were crowned in November of 2020, right?
No.
Not this past November, but the November before. No, 19, right?
19.
Yeah. Yeah, so November of 2019. I think that we're on like what equivalent to like our third reign right now. Is that right? Second reign? Yeah, third reign. I think we're equivalent to our third reign right now.
Third reign. Yes.
Yeah, so in the spring we will be starting our fourth reign. If you want to think about it that way. So yeah, it's been a long time. It's certainly a little more than I had anticipated.
Such unprecedented times that no one could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And in our wildest dreams, we couldn't imagine how this would work. So it has been challenging, I'm sure, at best. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions pre-pandemic, and then go back to what's going on in the pandemic with you. One of my dying questions, and you've done such a great job embracing the Outlands because you were here for quite a while before you stepped up as queen. But what's one of the most notable, different, pleasant surprises about the Outlands now that you're reigning as queen that you've discovered about us?
So what I absolutely love about the Outlands is the hospitality is absolutely incredible. It's hard to even explain. Like, everybody's just so easygoing and just so happy to see you. And if your kid's in a wedding and you can't go to an event, it's no big deal. We'll see you next weekend. But everybody's always so genuinely excited to see you, excited to share a drink with you, excited to share a snack with you, to share shade with you, excited to fight with you. I mean, everybody's just, it's really such an amazing kingdom, close-knit kingdom. And that's one of the things I really love, is that the SCA doesn't feel like work. It truly feels like a fun hobby that we're going to go do our fun hobby this weekend. It's not a war machine. Like, yeah, we go to Australia and yeah, that's, you know, whatever. But I never feel like we're a war machine kingdom. I always feel like, even if we're at war, we're like, come on down and dance around our fire. It's like that whole hospitality piece of like how everybody's so welcoming. And like I said, it's fun. It's not a job. It's truly our hobby. And if you need to step away from your hobby, nobody's going to, you know, be sending in the guilt squad about like, well, where were you last weekend? And why weren't you at this thing last weekend? And are you making a political statement that you didn't show up to my event? And it's like, no, my garden needed to be planted. And, you know.
It's true. I think, and the neat part about our kingdom is all of the friendships we build.
Yeah.
It's not just a household that you are involved in. It's friendships across the board. Yeah. Okay, you asked me. You're probably going to be better at this because it will stand out more to you. But what's your favorite tradition that the Outlands brings that you said, wow, that's cool?
So sorry, they were taking the puppy out of here. So I love it. So I know everyone's like, oh, the dirt thing is the coolest thing, but it really is the coolest thing. I've never seen anything like it. And for people that are watching that are like, what's the dirt thing? So there's a box, and in that box is a bit of earth from every field that Crown Tournament's been fought on. And so, you know, consecrate the field with this dirt, and then you gather dirt and add it to the bar. A cool, powerful experience that it's really, really cool. And I think a lot of people miss it because sometimes it happens like right after the processional, and people are like, oh, the processional is going to take an hour, so I can go get coffee on my way to site. So I think sometimes people miss it, but it's such a cool thing to see. I really encourage people, if you have not gotten to Crown Tourney early enough to see it, you should get there because it's so cool. And it's such a powerful moment during that tournament that you're like, oh my God, this is so cool.
It makes our kingdom's land sacred.
Yeah.
I think. So there's a question. What would you say is the most important duty as a queen?
I think that the most important thing about being the queen is understanding it's not about you, and it's about your role is to make the magic for other people. And so I think that honestly, like, that's the most important duty, is always remembering that you're not doing this for yourself or for your glory or for your, whatever, but it's a job, and your job is to make those magical moments happen for other people. I mean, the most magical time, I'll never forget, after our first event, His Majesty looked at me and said, what was your favorite part of the day? And I said, giving an AOA was so cool.
It is.
And it's such an intimate moment, and it's such a joyous occasion, and everybody's so excited, and the recipient is just absolutely thrilled, and it's really cool. But I think always remembering that your duty is to make that magic for other people. It's not about you at all.
Right. It is a job full of duties. Yeah. Occasionally you feel like you're walking on cloud 9, but there are huge responsibilities. We only are able to be here because they allow us to.
Yeah.
And they make it a good place. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So far, and you've been queen for a very long time now. Mm-hmm. Wow, what an experience. I know you have some great memories already.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I do. So one of the things that was really, really important to me when we stepped up was putting some focus on the children of the kingdom. And they're, I think, an underrepresented group that I think could be highlighted more, and to show our appreciation for them coming more. I mean, being a kid and going to an SCA event, I mean, you're not going because you want to, you're going because your parents are making you.
Right.
So it was really important to me that we did things at events that we were at to show my appreciation for the children's patience, to show my appreciation for the children just showing up, right? So I do cookies with the queen at events that I'm at, and I love it. I love talking to the kids. Kids say crazy stuff, and I absolutely love it.
I love what you're doing with the children. We raised our 4 children in the SCA. Mm-hmm. They did a lot of toting, helping set up thrones, because we were Baron and Baroness for 4 years, and then Crown. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Sometimes they get forgotten. Yeah. I think it's just so magical. And you are like they're in awe of our queen. She's talking to them. Some of the things in court have been so adorable that you're really twofold doing something. You're enjoying the children and putting them in the spotlight, and you're giving us an extreme joy to watch it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, when I originally said I want to start all of our courts with a story, it was, okay, that's going to extend court, and that's going to make court longer. And I said, so obviously I have a child in the SCA, and I said, yeah, it is going to make court a little bit longer, but you know what? We're asking kids to sit through court that they don't care about at all.
Right.
And we're not only asking them to sit through court, we're asking them to sit through court on their best behavior. Because what I've always told my son is, like, somebody might be receiving the most, like, this might be their most important moment of their SCA career. And we don't want to ruin that by being rowdy and naughty and, you know, whatever. So, you know, I was like, if we just show the kids some love at the beginning of court and then send them on their way with some toys, like, I think that that's cool. And I think that we're asking a lot, asking children to sit quietly in court.
Yes.
And you know, it's important to me. And that was one of my coolest moments as queen. Like, at our very first court that we had as king and queen, we were doing a story and one of the children started crying. And so I got up and I was like, hey, do you want to sit on let's sit on this cushion and listen to the story. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in so much trouble. I just sat on the ground during court with the children. I was like, oh, people are going to be so mad. But,
well, you are the queen. You can pretty much, you decree anything you want.
Right. But it was
wasn't illegal or immoral. I mean, that's
right. But it was my first court, and I was like, oh no, did I just mess up? I sat on the ground and I have the crown on, but
no.
This little guy was crying and I didn't want him to cry. I wanted him to be, you know, I didn't want the children's story to be a thing that was going to give kids anxiety.
No.
I wanted them to enjoy it. So I was like, well, maybe if I sit with him, he'll be okay. And, you know, he'll kind of settle in. And he did. And it was great. And, you know, like I said, I think it's important. We ask a lot of our children for a thing that we don't often even have activities for them. So I think showing them a little bit of love was high on my list.
Yes. Thank you for that. We already are creating memories with you as you sit with children. And probably 10 years from now, they're going to walk up to you, taller than you because they've already outgrown you, and say, remember the time you sat me down on the pillow with you?
Actually, honestly, by the time the pandemic's over, probably most of them will be taller than I am.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So let's see. I want to talk to you about the fact that what's different between you and I, you were a peer in your own right when you stepped up as queen.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about it. Couple things. I know at Estrella, you fought on the field with all your guards. Now, here's a question. Wait, before I get into the second part of the question, I want to back up. Are you a mistress of defense or a master of defense?
So, so I was made a master of defense when I lived in the Midrealm.
Okay.
And the Midrealm is a humongous kingdom. They have 500 authorized fencers.
Wow.
And I was the first woman master of defense. And I was number 14 that was made out there.
Wow.
So when I was offered, it was an absolute barrage of like, the society's watching you and everybody's watching you and the title you pick matters and the if you decide to have a buffet matters and if you decide this, you know, they're like, everybody's taking their cues from you. So it was a lot of pressure. And I was like, oh my God, okay, well, so I was offered 5 minutes ago and I'm probably going to need a minute to think. Like by the time, I was offered at Grand Court at Penzic.
Wow.
So by the time I got back to my camp, I had like, I want to say like 75 messages on my phone. Like, what are you going to do? And what title are you going to pick? And when are you being elevated? And what about your regalia? And how are you going to change it? Because you're a woman. And it was all this craziness. And I kind of tossed around Dame. But then some of the chivalry felt that was not appropriate. And then I finally said, I'm going to go with the female version of master.
Nice.
And I know that there's since been a lot of discussion about, you know, well, as a woman, I'm going with master because I don't want people to see me as inferior to our male counterparts.
Right.
But for me, I feel like not having my gender reflected in my title is buying into the fact that I'm not equal because I'm a woman. So like I see that more as a celebration. So I do go by mistress because I like to celebrate the fact that women can be masters of defense, and that, you know, we don't have to be equal. We're not, right? Like we're not.
Right. And I think that's a valid choice to make. And I think everyone should make their own choices.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of corpora, right? Like as long as you pick a title that's equivalent in whatever language you feel is most appropriate. I know that a lot of the women in the Outlands have chosen maestra, and that's the Portuguese version of mistress. And that's cool, but that wasn't for me, right? That's not what I wanted. I wanted a more traditional female version of master, which is mistress. So I do
master sounds so strong when you master anything in life.
Right.
But I'm female, so.
Well, and it's not even that I don't have mastery. It's that I like to celebrate the fact that I'm a woman.
And that you have that title. Yes.
And that I'm a master of defense. So I am a master of defense, but I go by the title mistress.
Yes, that's perfect. I get it. I always wondered because it's such a, with the pelican and the laurel, it's master of pelican, mistress of pelican, and it's very separate based on gender. Whereas knight doesn't have master unless you take a master at arms.
Right.
But so if you took, it would be to me similar to if you wanted to become a master of arms, would you be a mistress of arms instead of knighthood?
I would be, but I think it's a very personal choice. Because like I said, there's two schools of thoughts. Like some people want to say, I'm not any different. I'm a master. But I like to celebrate my gender. I mean, I like to celebrate
that
I'm a woman, and yeah, I'm a woman, but I'm a master of defense. So
yes. So having taken that title and stepped out onto the warfield, Estrella.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're pretty tough. I wouldn't mess around with you, but then you have all these guardsmen with you. Do you say, I got this? Or do you say, I am going to fulfill my position and rights as queen, and you guys all just take care of me and we'll go kill someone together? I mean, what do you do?
Okay, so I did initially really struggle with having a rapier guard. And I was like, I don't need to have a guard around me all the time because I'm a martial peer in my own right. And I think it's okay for me to go to the bathroom by myself. But then it was remembering that this is not about me. It's about fulfilling the role of queen. And as a queen, you have a guard. And as a queen, you have all these people around you. I mean, and that's the role of the queen, right? So it was a little bit of setting aside some of my personal, like, I got this. And like, no, it's my duty to
set the example.
Yeah, set the example and let people do, because you talked about like they circled around you and you feel the love, and they love to do that. Yes. And by me not letting them do that, I felt like was taking away some of the love that community gives. And so at first it was, no, I got this. But then I was like, no, I really need to let everybody do their thing. Right. And my thing is right now, I need to be in the role of the queen. So Estrella was different because because of the way the schedule worked out, and like they were going to have specific weapons. So I do fight on the heavy field, and but I don't fight in singles. I only fight in melee, and that was before I was queen. I do spear at wars, heavy spear. Mm-hmm. So I was gonna do half and half at Estrella. And originally I had wanted to start on the rapier field, but because of the way the scenarios were designed, they had like a weapon specific day planned. And so I was like, that's not something I'm interested in. Like, I only spear. So
Yes.
I started on the heavy field, and I never got to take the rapier field as the first mod queen. I never got to take the rapier field at Estrella because the weather happened, and all of them got canceled. So I fought one day as queen on the heavy field.
So, being our queen of grace and beauty, there's always another chance.
Yeah.
Holding the future ahead of us with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we'll all send good thoughts so you can get down there to that rapier field.
I know. I just felt so bad because, oh, my guys were like, it was so cool though, because,
yeah,
I'm putting my heavy armor on, and we're, starting to separate, like, we all march down to the fields, and then like the rapier fighters or the archers kind of peel off, and the rapier fighters peel off, and all that's happening. And the rapier fighters look at me and said, "Don't worry, Your Majesty, we got this." And I was like, oh my God, that's our guys.
Yeah. Oh, the responsibilities.
Right. And our guys were so amazing, and they won the day. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it was so cool.
Yeah, rapiers rock.
Yeah.
They're brutal. Yep.
It was really cool. But I was like, oh my God, I'm the first mod queen, and I didn't even get to go on the field with my guys because of the rain. We just got rained out. I mean,
that's terrible. Yeah. Well, there's another opportunity. Right? See how the pandemic works.
Yeah.
So until we can safely socialize again, and you can be with your populace and really have that chance. I'm sure you're having challenges right now. You're on almost your fourth reign. Mm-hmm. Someone asked, having one of the longest reigns in the SCA, would you do it again?
I would. I feel like being able to highlight the children and being able to represent the rapier community and being able to do all of these things was such a great experience, despite the fact that we're in a global pandemic, right?
Right.
Those are things that I feel very passionately about. I love that I get to represent the rapier community, right? Like, I love that I get to be the voice of the children and the advocate of the children, and I would do it again. Because it sounds crazy, and people are like, oh my God, what is she thinking? And, obviously not right away, because I'm sure people are absolutely sick of me.
But one of our first responsibilities we take on are the long-term things and things that we can introduce because we have that opportunity to introduce to our kingdom new ideas. Or I think you're the second queen that's ever really, truly have held the title of a rapier queen. So, I mean, you were kind of cheated, for sure. And you can't do anything in 3 months. And the inspirations that we build to get out there and work hard for everyone, I could see that you would do it again.
Yeah, like you said, I know people are like, oh my God, you're crazy, but it's
no.
We were just hitting that point in our reign where I had settled in, and I felt like I knew what I was doing, and then that's when everything was put on pause, right? So like we finally were like, everything's getting settled down, and now is really like the have fun part, and yeah.
So definitely the have fun part hasn't worked out so well. Yeah. And we're all patiently waiting. The once every 100 years pandemic, there's no control over it. What are some of your challenges that you're going through right now during the pandemic as reigning as our queen? I know I have asked questions of you. I'm like, what's it like? Are you busy? You're like, yeah, we remain busy.
Yeah.
how do you do things on social media? Is there something you like on social media that's turned out to be a really good concept? Some of those things, share with us.
So one of the things that I love about the SCA is the in-person interaction, right? And
Right.
you're hearing people say, oh, after the pandemic, the SCA will never be the same. And I don't think that's true. I think that people, people are saying, well, people are going to find other things to fill their time with. I don't think that's true. I think people want to get together. People are going to want to dance around the fire, and people are going to want to drink homebrew, and people are going to want to get out there and fight,
and
people
see their friends,
and that in-person interaction is honestly, that's what I go for.
Yes, and no pressure. You're the glue to this.
Yeah. So I think that the ESCA, like the interview shows, like we're doing, there's a lot of great content. And I think that that's been really critical in kind of keeping the dream alive.
Yes.
But I don't think that that's going to replace the in-person interaction once we can actually gather. It's just not. And
right.
It might for some, and people might say, oh, well, it's so much easier to play digitally. But that's not what the SCA is, really.
Right.
How do you digitally recreate something that's so far back?
Hands-on.
Yeah, it really is hands-on. Like, yeah, it's cool to watch somebody forge something online, but it's really cool when you're standing there and the heat is in your face and the sound of the hammer and the sparks are flying. And that's a very different experience, for sure.
Correct. And as humans, we're social beings. Right. That's how we're making our connections with everyone. And it was all changed so quickly. Yeah.
So I think that, this content has been great. Like I said, I think it's really shed a lot of light on what it's like to be queen. I think it's shed a lot of light on how to analyze your fighting videos. I think, like I said, there's such great ANS stuff out there. Yes. We've got the Outlands Royal University puts out a lot of classes. I mean, it's such a great opportunity for people to network across the known world. I think that has been hugely beneficial for people to get out of their little pond and to be able to digitally connect with people who have a similar interest but live very far away. So I definitely think that all of the online content has been great, but I think that the fear that it's going to replace those in-person interactions is maybe a little unfounded. But that's my personal opinion.
I want to agree. I think we put everything on pause, and it made us miss some things. Mistress Monica just asked a tough question, but I think it's actually something that we can ask questions, but nobody really knows the answers, because the pandemic really does control. I'm sure we've followed along with you so much of what's happening with you. But her question, now that we're on pause, is there a plan about what to do about all the awards that have been postponed?
So that is a great question. And when the BOD put everything on hold, we were asked, are we canceling all of the awards that we had planned to give? And the answer is no, we are not. That does mean we're probably going to have some longer courts, because we want to make sure the fact that we've been on pause and that we've had to shelter in our homes doesn't take away the accomplishments that people have achieved.
No.
And we're absolutely going to award everything that we planned to give. And there's still stuff that we had planned to do before the pandemic that we are still planning to do. We're still going to elevate all of the people that we've made offers to. I mean, it doesn't change anything. It's basically like we just hit the pause button. We're still going to give all of those awards. And like I said, it's going to be some longer court than the Outlands is used to. But like it's important to me that those people are recognized for the things that they have done and that they are so, deserving of recognition. And it
absolutely. Is absolutely. And celebrate so much when we can all get back together and recognize them. There were a couple questions here because we're starting to get close to the end, which I could sit and talk to you for way longer, except for maybe the potty runs.
Right.
Yeah. One question for me. That's the only one I can see, and then I want to ask you one more real quick.
Okay.
So, Countess Gillian asked, what was the favorite type of largesse to make for others, and what your favorite part of largesse that you were able to give when you reigned? Oof. Oh,
That
that's a
was the
tough.
question for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a toughie. Yeah, I just read my own question. Favorite type of largesse? Ooh. Gosh, I don't know. There's some really cool stuff out there. That's a tough one, Gillian. Of course, Countess Gilly is a friend of mine, so I'm sure she's being difficult on me. Oh, I don't know. Largesse. Okay, here's one. Coronets that were made for us to make someone a baron or baroness. That was considered largesse, and there were some amazing coronets that came out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love jewelry because I can wear it and then gift it right off of my person, and that's something that I like to do a lot.
I do that a lot too. Through the years, you're just, wow. Well, wow. You're going to have a lot of jewelry someday. We got to put a pause, but with the pause, I know you have challenges across the board. One of the questions I would ask, we've talked about the great question Monica asked about how are you going to resume back to normal regarding things like awards. But in the meantime, there's probably a lot of legal decisions that you have to work with the corporate office, all our board of directors and officers. And then again, all the stress coming to make all the decisions, even probably per state. There are some kingdoms that probably only follow one mandate.
Yeah, so that's been a big challenge because the Outlands is not so. There's some kingdoms that are one state. Aidenvelt in particular is the state of Arizona. I mean, the Outlands is very, very, very different. We
have 5 states.
Yeah. So it's not just looking at what the state is saying. It's looking at what 5 states are saying. And then it's looking at what the county in one of those 5 states is saying or where the event is being held. And it's, so it was a lot. So it was actually a huge relief when the BOD finally said, we're going to put a pause on things. Because there were people who wanted us to host Crown Tourney as soon as Colorado said we could gather with 75 people.
Right.
And that was one of those moments where it's like, we just can't have a Crown Tourney because at the time, if you left New Mexico, you had to quarantine for 2 weeks. If you traveled out of it, there was just so many factors that people may not have been aware that had to be considered because
sure,
like I said, it's 5 states, but it's not just the state, it's the county that the event's happening in. And is it fair to have a Crown Tourney if only people from Colorado can attend? No, the answer is no, it's not. It's not equitable, it's not fair. And ultimately the decision was we're not doing that until it's and equitable. Yeah. And, Wyoming's a completely different story than Denver, but it's also a 90-minute drive. So how do we say, yes, Wyoming, Platform or who, go ahead and do your event. But how do we stop people from Colorado driving up to that event if they're the only event in town? Right. And it's not to punish anyone. It's to keep it fair and equitable. And
keeping your finger on the pulse of your entire kingdom for everyone's safety. It's truly taught us so much of how, we used to just pack our bags and go camp at an event and nobody really bothered us. But
Yeah.
Now it's not so much that.
Well, and we do have a large portion of our populace that's in that very high risk. And I'm just not willing to risk it. And I hope everybody sees that the time that we've had to spend apart is truly a sacrifice worth making if it means that everybody can get together. I mean, that nobody's going to be missing because of the action
of losing someone. Right.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility.
And
so you
yeah.
thought you were doing this as Crown, because that's what they told you going to do, and they changed your whole set of rules. And I appreciate it. And so for me personally, I can only imagine some of the difficult decisions you've had to make. But you're right. We do have elderly generations in this hobby we play that we would never want to risk losing over a risk. No one needs to take a risk. Life's on pause for everybody. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So it's a lot. And like I said, and you asked me, like, are you still very busy? And the answer is we are. We've changed over almost every kingdom office. I think at this, we're in the final phases, I think, of changing over the last 2 big kingdom offices. And, you know, it's not that people are getting mad and quitting. It's just that people's warrants were up. And, you know, it's time. So we've had to do Zoom interviews and change over offices. And, you know, we've really encouraged a lot of our officers that now's the time if your manual needs updating. So, you know, we've had to review a lot of rule books and a lot of manuals and a lot of.
So you took advantage of the actual time and events being together to really do a lot of the work behind the scenes that sometimes we neglect.
Yeah, it was really important to us that, you know, the time was well spent and getting offices in order and getting, you know, like I said, rules rewritten and stuff updated. You know, we're constantly growing and changing society where social media rules are different. And, you know, social media wasn't even a thing, 5 years ago, really. And well, no, I guess it was 5 years ago, but social media wasn't a thing 13 years ago. And now we have a lot of rules about what is appropriate for social media and what's not. And we have to update stuff to follow those rules. And, you know, weapon styles evolve. And, you know, the Master of Defense is still only, 6 years old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're still growing and changing. So there's still work to do. I mean, there's a lot of work to do. Our Kingdom Exchequer has been amazing at reviewing financial policy and, you know, going through all those rules and, you know, going through everybody's books. And, you know, the Marshallet is doing a huge overhaul right now, and all, you know, rapier rules, heavy rules, archery rules. I mean,
And what are your scribes doing right now? Are they making a bunch of blank scrolls for you?
I think they're working through the backlog, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that should be a great opportunity.
Yeah, because we had so we go through the award recommendation database, and we had scheduled out like pretty well through the end, like not all of the awards, but we were like, you know, based on what's in the award recommendation, you know, at these events, we're going to be giving these awards. So we had awards that we had planned to give through the end of our reign. So
wow.
Yeah, so getting all of those scrolls done. And so in theory, we should not give anything out that doesn't have a scroll, right?
Yeah, they're always under so much pressure. I'm sure right now it's kind of a relief, but yet probably bittersweet. What do I do with my time? I don't have a scroll to make in the next 3 days as a combat scroll.
Right. Well, but luckily there is so much internet content that like the Scribble community has had a symposium, and there are always classes on ink making, or, you know, how to do illumination differently. And I mean, there's so much great content that the scribes should not be bored. There's a lot of cool stuff out there that, you know, to be doing. So
your social media reign. Right.
Yeah.
So wow. once we get to post-pandemic, what's the first thing you want to do? What?
I want to just go to an event and be with the populace.
Yes.
Honestly, like, I want to give all those deserving people all these amazing, beautiful scrolls that our amazing artists have created.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have such amazing artists that really we're giving out a piece of art every time we give an award. And I can't wait to be with the populace and see the kids and give out awards and, you know, just be with the populace. Like, everybody come together and just be together and celebrate.
Together again.
Yeah, what an amazing kingdom we are.
Yeah. So we're running up to our time.
Yep.
But you have a very big heart, and you've really hung in there for everyone. And thank you for all your work. But I wanted to ask you, is there one thing right when we close that maybe you just want to say to all of your populace in your kingdom so that we can say goodbye and thank you for everything you do?
I think the main thing, and we've tried to say it often, and I hope that it's really coming across, that we really appreciate the work that our officers are doing. This pause does not mean that everything's on pause. Our officers are working super duper hard. And that, like I said before, this time of pause is going to be worth it, because hopefully that means not a single person will be missing when we get back together. And, you know, it's going to be an epic party when we get back together. And just, you know, the internet is so hard to read intent, and, you know, text is so hard to read intent. Just remember how much we love each other, and just to be kind to each other. And, you know, this is going to be a well worth sacrifice when we can all be together again. It truly will be. I believe that in my heart of hearts, that if we can just stay the course, we can be together, and it's going to be awesome. So we super appreciate all the work people are doing, even behind the scenes work that, you know, a lot of people don't realize has to be done is still being done.
Right.
And the officers are working so hard. And, you know, we had 4 or 5 people apply to be the new Kingdom Arts and Science Minister. That's amazing that we have so many people willing during a pandemic to step up and do a job. Because, you know, the thing about the pandemic, right, is that this is all the work, but not a lot of the fun.
No fun, right.
And so the officers are doing all of the work without any of the reward of the fun. Yeah. And so, you know, we're so thankful that people are willing to give their time to the SCA to make sure that it keeps running, to make sure that, you know, everything is as it should be. So we're so thankful for those people. And yeah, that's it. We're really excited to get back to in person. That's
really, really heartwarming to hear, because I'm kind of getting a little teary. I'm like, yeah, yes, we want to be there too with you and all our friends that we've missed. Just to not have to be, even if we continue to social distance for a very long time, just to see people. Yeah. It's amazing too what just some Zoom calls do. Like, we had a Zoom call with our B&Bs a couple months ago, and it was so great to just get everybody together and like, man, this is awesome. We did a Zoom call with Royal Peers, and it was great to get people together and just like, man, we miss everybody's face. Yeah. So. It is. It's wonderful. Well, thank you very much for today. I really enjoyed your company. Your Majesty, I wish you the best, no matter how long this goes on. I do wish you the best. And thank you for being strong for all of us in your kingdom and keeping your smile, because we all appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining me on the show today. I'm glad you took the time. I know you were like, oh, nobody wants to hear it, but that's not true. People want to hear it.
People wanted to know about you and wanted to know about your time as queen. So
Well,
thank you for coming on, and hopefully we will all be together again soon.
Sometime very soon, I hope. We're all just going to keep hoping. Thank you, Your Majesty.
And until then, we're going to have Outlands RoyalTea every other week. And the next show is going to be Duke Darius and Duke Jax. You tricky guy. So our tech guy put Duke Darius, but it's really Duke Jax. So join His Majesty for Duke Jax's interview. He's our warlord. He's an incredibly charismatic individual, and it should be a great interview. So thank you so much, Outlands, for joining us. And until next time, we will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.